By satellite from Hollywood, would you say hello to Angie Dickenson? Here, we got it. There you are. Close up and beautiful as well. Look at that. How are you, Angie?
I'm pretty good.
Yes?
Thank you.
Do you get uptight or nervous over these kind of interviews?
No, I'm just thinking about that wonderful line on the clip you just showed the audience. That's one of the reasons I took that picture. I just love that answer.
I read that you looked at the script and laughed a lot, even though it is a suspense thriller and all of that. You looked at the script and laughed a lot and said there's a lot in there that you didn't believe could be done. Is that right?
Yes, I did. I mean, I laughed with astonishment that anybody, much less me, could be doing this, the taxi scene that you allude to. Yeah. And I said, Brian, you're kidding. You've got to be joking. He said, no, but it'll be good taste.
Yeah.
So I took a chance.
We'll talk about the taxi scene in a minute, and we'll also show him a clip of what we're talking about. But tell me about the storyline of this motion picture. What is this basically about?
Well, I'm a housewife, and I just go through my usual chores of the day, getting ready to go into the city, into New York City. I live in the suburbs, and I'm rather discontented with my husband's lovemaking at this point in my life. And so the movie opens with my fantasizing over what I wish it were, I guess. Certainly fantasizing in that it's not what it is.
Yeah.
And the progression of the film is my going to do my usual thing on this day, which is go to see Michael Caine, which is no, how can I say, tough
task.
Chore.
Yeah, right, yeah.
He's wonderful. And then, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've heard that from many, many quarters, that he not only is a great actor, but everybody that works with him seems to really like him a lot.
He's a fantastic actor and an even more beautiful person. He's wonderful. And he really is a great reason why I took the picture, because I was afraid to go this erotic in a picture coming off Policewoman. And I felt, well, Michael Caine has such dignity, that'll be fine.
a little lust and a little...
balance me out.
Yeah, I was going to say, a little lust and a little dignity, a great combination, right?
Yeah, yes. That's right.
What about the lift scene in this movie? They talk about, they compare it with Hitchcock's shower scene from Psycho.
Well, it's bloody.
Yeah.
But it really, Brian De Palma takes from everything he loved, and he loved Hitchcock. But it really isn't the girl, or no one gets killed in a shower. Now, I say if you kill a girl in a shower, that's a deliberate steal. So it's influence, like singing a little like Sinatra because he's so great.
Yeah.
But you're not Sinatra, you're somebody else.
I understand. Well, we talked about the taxi scene. Let's have a look at what we're talking about here, and then I want to hear the story of how you actually filmed this whole thing. Okay? In this scene, Angie is in a museum, and she makes eyes at this gentleman, and eventually they get together at this taxi cab. Have a look at.
Well, at this point, she thinks she's lost him.
Here you are.
I shouldn't have been so rude. Thank you for picking up.
We've left that at the most important part. When you shot this scene, I understand that you actually had to get almost undressed and do this real passionate scene right in the middle of a street in New York. Is that right?
It was horrible. That's the scene, the page where I broke up laughing. When I read the script the first time, I thought it was impossible to do. So we did it all day long in New York City, and every sanitation truck and every bus that passed by the taxi looked down that rear window and saw someone who looked an awful lot like Angie Dickenson doing terrible things in the taxi. And it was so embarrassing. It was the toughest scene maybe I've ever had to do.
How long did you say the whole shoot took?
Of the taxi?
Yeah.
All day long.
Oh, really?
All day.
Of course, people traveling the public transport on the buses, of course, would have had the best view looking down.
They certainly did.
Yes. And
I remember, Don. Once we came to a stop, and I think we were so scrunched up we had to get out and stretch our legs. Or there was traffic tie-up or something. And a bunch of kids got out of a van, and they also were higher. And they saw me get out of the cabin. They said, "Yay, Pepper, right on." And they were so happy that I finally got laid.
We'll be back with poor Angie Dickinson after this commercial break that she got what? Hang on a minute. Thank you very much, and we're back, and we're talking to Angie Dickinson by satellite from Hollywood. Angie, getting away from the motion picture for just a while, I recently read a quote by you that said, "I'd like to pretend I struggled for my career, but I didn't." You sort of fell into an acting career, as I can gather.
Excuse me, I just burped my beer.
Are you drinking? Are you drinking beer then?
Yes, I don't know how close this is, but yes, I love beer.
Yes. You should come down to Australia. They've got the best beer in the world down here, you see.
That's another good reason to get there. Yeah. Someday.
How long have you been a beer drinker?
Since policewoman, really. Beer and popcorn, because I don't like heavy drinking, but boy, at 6 o'clock, for 4 years, not every night, but occasionally it felt great.
It was sort of unfashionable, though, in America for a while. I mean, for a lady to walk in and say, "I want to have a beer" or something, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah.
I even put ice in it, so that's how unfashionable I am. So I don't really care about that.
Well, you talked about policewoman. Let's talk about that. That was a pretty big challenge in those days to make a realistic look out of a woman actually holding a position in the police department with the respect given to male members of the police department.
Don, you're very astute, or somebody supplied you with an awful lot of good homework. I'm very flattered that you mentioned that, because last year when it was when I was in New York doing Dress to Kill. The police department of New York gave me a citation, and it's a beautiful citation, how their police women want to emulate, am I saying it backwards? But they want to be like I was. And it was so great, and the police commissioner and his whole staff presented me with this wonderful honor, and that's after it was already finished. But it was the first of its kind, and the only since. There's not been another dramatic female starring in a TV show in America, and a regular series.
Some have tried.
Comedy.
Some have tried, but
I mean successfully.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was a challenge, but I think also, Don, the fact that it came when it did, the fact that it was new and not too heavy into the woman's movement, just on the brink of it, was a very big asset and helped me a lot.
Let me talk about something else here, which I've read about. It says you've just completed Charlie Chan and the Curse of the Dragon Queen.
Yes.
Is that right? And you are the Dragon Queen, is that it?
Oh, and that's, yes, I certainly am. That is not G-G-I-N apostrophe.
Oh,
That is D-R-A-G-O-N.
And who is in this with you?
Peter Ustinov, Lee Grant, Roddy McDowell, Brian Keith, Rachel Roberts. It is, I think, very funny. It started out, Richard Hatch. It's read very funny, and if it comes out at all like it was intended, it's going to be very funny. Peter Ustinov plays Charlie Chan.
Another one of the world's funniest men, Peter Ustinov.
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I look very different. I wear long, dark hair, and I'm very bizarre through the whole thing. But I think it'll be all right.
Did you ever imagine that at 49 they would have called you the sex symbol of the 80s?
Never thought about it, and I still don't think about it. And if you want to drop it there, that's just fine.
What? Can I
I
mention?
don't think about it.
Can I
I
mention?
just don't think about it.
I read a very funny article about you. There was a magazine out. I don't want to really publicize it because I don't like magazines. Like there was a magazine out called Skin Flicks that evidently had all of these off-cut pictures of actresses in various states of undress, and you wanted to sue them and then changed your mind.
Well, that's probably another thing you read.
Yeah.
That I read too. That they print things you never dreamed of saying, much less said. Like the first thing you said. Yes, I did fall into the career, but the Skin Flick magazine, I knew that I had no shot at suing them if I had. First of all, why sue them? You know, I looked good.
That's a good reason not to, yeah.
No, the point is, Don, you don't sue unless you intend to win. And there was nothing libelous. They took the film, and they took the negative. They just cut the film apart and made blow-ups of them and printed them. So you can't sue them for that.
Well, obviously, it doesn't bother you that you were able to show your body. It's terrific, by the way. I'm not making any bad news about it. But in the shower scene in this motion picture, I understand that they substituted someone else's body for yours.
Yes, they did. I just want to make one point about the magazine. I didn't sue them. However, if you'd have asked me, do I prefer it be there, I definitely do not.
Right. Yeah.
But suing is one thing, and wishing you weren't in it is quite another. Yes, they used a gorgeous body, as you saw, if you saw Dressed to Kill, for the very close parts of her fantasy. And I got to go home that day.
Yeah.
And I just, sorry.
Yeah. And everybody wishes you to stay around. Angie, they're giving me all sorts of wind-up signs because we're going to lose the satellite. So I really have to call it to a close. We're going to send you a case of Australian beer just to give you a little more incentive to come down. I hope everybody goes out and sees the picture. It is a wonderful motion picture, and I thank you more than anything for taking the time to come in and talk with us like this. It's beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Angie Dickenson. Would you say so?
It's been a joy.
Thank you. A pleasure.